What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to a special, thrilling Victory Tuesday edition of the Dawgs podcast. We're super pumped to be here with you guys on what kind of feels like a monumentous day, if you can have one of those after a regular season victory. We're going to get into everything about this, how much it means for the team. I don't think you can overstate how much it just meant to fans, especially after the last 2 weeks we just had. So in terms of a regular season game, just a huge game for the Browns. We can't wait to get into it with you guys. We got a bunch of voicemails to get to. If you ever want to get your thoughts on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. We love your intros. We love getting your thoughts, especially after big wins. So make sure you guys leave us as many voicemails as you can. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please make sure you you subscribe, tap the notification bell so you don't miss any new content. As you guys know, we're going live frequently. You don't want to miss any of these live episodes. They're always the best ones. If you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, you can also just listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Lastly, if you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on our Patreon page. You get an extra episode every week, access to the private Discord, fantasy football, Dog Pack member of the month. We're just giving stuff away all the time. We're always interacting with everybody in there. It's a good time for everybody. So if you want to hang out with the dogs more often, you want to meet people from all over the world, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. Two things I want to do before we dive in here.
Okay.
We got to shout out D'Anthony Bell. We got an official game-worn jersey back here, if I'm pointing the right way. So hanging up. So that's awesome. And we got to give him a shout out. It's his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
So, as you
man.
So happy birthday, D'Anthony Bell. If you guys were watching pregame, you know he was right in the middle of that scuffle, giving Deebo Samuel the business, which was awesome to see.
And then, the hype.
Yeah.
And the hype video.
You saw the hype video of us coming out with our boombox, kind of like copycatting the 49ers defense. He was right in the middle of that too. Like, I was just like, man, look at this guy. I'm pumped. I've talked to that guy
a lot.
It was awesome to see him and all that stuff. We got this awesome jersey, so we appreciate it. And happy birthday to you, man. I hope you have a good one. What a game for the Browns. What is big of a regular season win I think you can ask for, just in terms of the Browns never win games they're not supposed to win. We barely ever win games that we're supposed to win. So,
right.
You know what I mean? So we're 10.5-point underdogs. We're starting a XFL practice squad quarterback. We don't have Jack Conklin. We don't have Joel Bitonio. We don't have Nick Chubb. We don't have Deshaun Watson. And we're playing, a team that hasn't lost in the regular season in 15 games, 16 games, something like that?
It's 15, I think, going into it.
They haven't lost in the regular season in almost a calendar year.
Their starting quarterbacks never lost in the regular season.
Right. Since
so just, we told you we were going to win. No, I'm just playing. Like we were very much, I think on this show, Justin was probably optimistic.
Blind optimist.
But we were realistic, I think. I think we were we were kind of along the lines of, let's see how we come out and compete. Let's see if we can play a clean game and see what good we can take from this game. Because the cards were stacked against us. We had no business being in this game, and we came out with a W. This is like a turning point type game.
Don't tell the defense that, because they felt like they were very much meant to be in that game.
But I see what you're saying, because this could be that game that, a team that has a very, very successful season looks back on at the end and says, that's the moment. That was the turning point, like you said, where things just fell into place and we just new mentality and it was awesome to see.
There's a lot of Stefanski detractors out there. I feel like this team's bought into this. I don't know if you saw the post-game speech in the locker room, but there doesn't seem to be doubt in my mind. Like, there's obviously not doubt. If you got these guys to buy in for this week to come out and compete, they're buying into something. And a lot of people will give it all to Jim Schwartz, but you can't blame the guy when we every game we lose, and then when we win a huge game, give him 0% credit,
right?
Or still blame him,
him. You know what I mean? Like, and we might get into some of that, but I thought it was as big of a regular season win as you could have, and as bummed as we are about losing the Steelers game early in the year, because we always talk about, like, you lose the one you're not supposed to, and it ends up coming back to bite you. Well, we just stole one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, this is a game that I would imagine, even if we were 100% healthy, we probably we wouldn't have been 10.5-point dogs, but I'm assuming we wouldn't have been favorites.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
It's very fair.
So, like, I don't want to say we got one back because it still sucks that we lost that game, but we went and got one that we weren't supposed to get to kind of, help erase some of the pain of that one, at least in terms of record and division race and that kind of stuff. So just an awesome game for the Browns. I can't wait to get into it. I know we have a couple voicemails we want to get into here early, and then we'll just keep this thing rolling.
Okay, yeah. First voicemail, this is from Stacy.
We are the Cleveland Browns. We don't get that kind of luck. I can't believe it. That is wild. Go Browns. Woo!
I feel all that.
I know, right? Love to hear that. And then, we remember last week we had the displaced Browns fan call in. That was after the Ravens game and how negative he was, but he called back after this game, so it's a little bit of a different tone.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, Dawgs? Displaced Browns fan again. Hey, look, a couple weeks ago I called, left a message, said some not so nice things about Stefanski and the Browns, but it was right after the game. My emotions were high. I was angry and upset. Plus, I think I ran out of beer, so there's that.
Always
but
a
now,
problem.
This is a new week. We beat the Niners. We crushed the Niners with our third-string quarterback. It is go time. We are back. Browns are back, baby. Let's go, Dogs.
What a tale of two voicemails.
Right.
There. My goodness. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back on board.
I understand the heartache of a post-game loss. Trust me. Go back and watch that Pittsburgh post-game live we did.
Yeah.
It's
Or
depressing.
don't watch it.
Or don't watch it.
Here's
Or
my
then the
eyes
one that
entire
me and
time.
you did after on Bleacher Report after the Ravens was still like, I mean, it was
Pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I do want to address a comment here. Jared Proper says, wish we could start talking about the Colts. The Niners one was great, but I'm ready to move on to the next team. Can't get high too low. Got to stay locked in, focused. Completely agree.
Yeah.
This is the first day we could get back in the new studio, so we weren't going to obviously skip talking about this game. 2, the Browns were off Monday, Tuesday. They don't get back to work until tomorrow, so we can celebrate.
We're gonna enjoy this.
We can celebrate
That's
it until
right. tomorrow
tomorrow when the team gets back in the building to practice. So we're not technically breaking any rules yet. Tomorrow we'll turn the page, start focusing on the Colts. It's like she said, we never get luck like that, and I'm not even going to consider it luck. I guess you can. I heard that field goal gets made 80% of the time or 85% of the time or something like that. But like we outgained them 334 to 215.
And 84 of it was on their first drive, which was pretty much a scripted drive.
Yeah,
After that, it was
30 yards of penalties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All
You know
the
what I mean?
penalties were
So it's just
Lord.
for both sides.
Yeah, we just fought and scrapped, and we put ourselves in a position to win. The Browns are never in that position to catch the lucky break. You know what I mean? Like, it's just we put ourselves in that position to be able to go out and be afforded that opportunity the way we fought. And I don't want to hear about penalties or bad calls or anything like that, because the first half was one of the worst officiated halves of football I've ever seen in my life.
The whole game. I mean, from honestly
agree.
start to finish on both sides, it was awful to watch.
And what have we been told as Browns fans whenever we have literally the worst call ever go against us? It's don't let it come down to that. You got to be good enough to overcome that stuff. So I don't want to hear that maybe a questionable call here or there, which the guy launching
I was going to say,
into him,
launch with
that
his
gets
crown.
called every time.
Yes,
even
I
if
agree.
he hits him with we might not like it. That gets called every
Completely agree.
single time.
Completely agree.
And the ball was gone. I could understand if the ball was still in his hands and he popped him. The ball was 2 feet behind him when he hit him.
Right.
So it's not even. And then the PJ Walker, they're like, I can't believe that wasn't a fumble. Even the guy, the official on the broadcast, immediately came on and said his hand only has to be going forward a millimeter. If it's going forward, and it clearly is, you can clearly see his hand. So nothing was more egregious than the Wyatt Teller hold that called back Njoku's touchdown. That was atrocious. No face mask call against Newsome.
That was ridiculous.
What about the face mask all the way up the sideline, and then they call it against us? And then they're like, oh, sorry. I do have one really other good one, and this one is against it. It made us look bad, but in the stadium at the time, I can't remember exactly what they called, but it probably went 45, 50 seconds, and they're like, the Browns have decided they are actually changing their mind. I'm like, what is going on?
Because the spot wasn't right at first.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
And then I've never, the only time I've ever seen anything like this was the South Carolina-Michigan game that Clowney knocked the dude's helmet off the very next play, where in that game they were clearly short and they gave him the first down. We clearly had the first down and we had to challenge it.
Yeah.
First of all, the spot was atrocious.
Go to our Twitter page. The video is right there. It's one of the most recent posts. I mean, the ref tips that
he's tipping it
in front of the camera, and it was like, is everybody seeing this?
First of all, the spot was terrible to begin with. Yes. Even the announcers were like, "That's not a very favorable spot." Yep. And then they measure it and they're like, "Oh, they got it," and they called it short. I'm like, wait, what? How are they calling this short right now? Even Wyatt Teller's looking like, bro. We're all looking at it. America's looking at it.
I was sitting next to a Niners fan. He just looked at me. He's like, man, the refs really don't want you guys to win this game. I was like, we don't need any extra stuff going against us heading into this. We have a practice squad quarterback out there right now.
So I don't want to harp on the officiating too much right now, but it's just, I don't want to hear the excuse. It's a big deal, I don't want to hear the excuses about how that's the only reason we won. You were 10.5-point favorites. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't even have come to that. You got outgained by PJ Walker and Jerome Ford. We had a rookie right tackle blocking the reigning defensive player of the year all game. Okay. And he, for the most part, owned him.
I'm pretty sure he didn't get a pressure, right?
He gave up one sack, and I don't even know if the sack was on him. Wyatt Teller, I think, is actually credited with it because Wyatt Teller should have taken Bosa. And just nobody blocked him on Bosa's only sack. He literally owned Bosa all game to the point where I think he was our highest graded offensive lineman for the game.
I believe that's true.
Against Nick Bosa.
So
DeJuan Jones might be rookie of the year.
DeJuan Jones was credited with that sack.
Okay.
Which is kind of wild.
But it was the only pressure he gave up the entire game.
If you watch the broadcast, they said it was on Teller.
Okay.
You can see DeJuan Jones takes this guy, Teller double teams a guy instead of sliding out and picking up Bosa. But either way, this game was completely set up for us to get obliterated.
Yes.
And the defense just came out. Man, our defense.
So that did you guys see that stat? The 215 offensive yards for Shanahan was the lowest in 104 games that he's been the head coach.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
It's crazy.
We've done that to a few teams now.
Yeah, we have.
Super.
Stat of my life right now is that through 5 games, the Browns have only given up 1,002 yards.
Was that the lowest?
It's the third lowest since it's the third lowest since the merger. The other 2 teams were in 70 and 71, where it was you weren't allowed to throw the football basically.
Right.
3 yards in
NFL.
Yes.
That is impossible. You would think that's impossible.
It's better than the 85 Bears. It's better than the 2000 Ravens. Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I know some people are like, they didn't have CMC or they didn't have Debo. Debo went out a little early. They had CMC through 3 quarters.
They started with those guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We started without everybody.
That's fair.
That we didn't have.
CMC had 43 yards rushing. I'm pretty sure 33 were on 1 carry or something like that. And he had like 14 carries or something for 10 yards the rest of the game.
He didn't do anything.
He was bottled up. He was a non-factor.
And that's before he got hurt.
And that's before
and he went out in the 3rd, right?
Yeah. This is late. I made a note of this. I've watched a decent amount of 49ers games the last couple of years because they're on prime time all the time because they're very good. They were my Super Bowl picks probably last year, and coming out of the NFC, they'd be my pick still this year. Every game I've ever watched them play, I can't believe how physical they are on both sides of the football. I think even their offensive guys are so physical.
Yeah.
This is the first game I ever watched where I thought they were not the most physical football team in the game.
No.
Our defense punished them time and time again. We were laying the wood. Mm-hmm. We beat the out of them over and over and over again. It was a street fight, and we brought dogs.
The chat's going off now talking about the record, which I heard today. Again, Jim Schwartz is now 9-1 against Kyle Shanahan's offenses.
Pretty impressive.
And Shanahan's offense is only, I think, average 15 points per game against a Jim Schwartz-led defense. So, pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And we felt that. They just...
I think they kind of just thought they were going to come in and bully us.
Even and like honestly, the first drive, because I texted you guys, I said, we could be in trouble. We could be in trouble. They just, like butter.
I definitely was a little discouraged.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And after that, they did nothing.
They did nothing.
And in years past, you would see a Browns defense almost fold or cater to, oh, man, we just got bullied right off the – and then it would just continue. And
It was
and
so
snowball.
fast. I didn't have time to process if I should be worried.
Well, and literally the last few seasons, that's our biggest. I mean, not really the offensive line, but defensive line. We've just harped like, man, we are not physical enough up front. Our third string running backs can run for 120 and 2 touchdowns easy. This defense has character. They're nasty. They're gritty. And you see that they don't really care who they're playing. They're coming to shut it down, and it's impressive. It's very, very impressive.
They have a swag about them,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like they're not going to take crap from
identity.
anybody. Yes, an identity. It's
Yes.
the way they play. They got a chip on their shoulder. JOK is playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
This is the JOK that we were so pumped to go get in the second round.
I did a poll before we started. I said, who had the best defensive performance, JOK, Tomlinson, or Emerson, or other? And 50% of the chat said JOK.
I'm completely fine with that.
balling out. Tomlinson, I know at one point in the game he didn't even have like a sack or anything yet, but every single play
He was there.
blowing it.
He was
up.
living in the
style.
backfield.
Yeah, they couldn't block him. He was unblockable, and it was how nice is it to have a defense where it's a total team effort now.
Yep.
Miles Garrett, I don't know if he had a sack or anything like that, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't have to. He's going up against a future Hall of Famer left tackle.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have to go out and win every single time. You know what I mean? Like it was such a total team defense effort. It is just, God, it's awesome to watch.
And how nice is it? Like you have that line, and then Obo rotates in as a third, and that dude
Rex.
Oh my God. I watched his mic up yesterday, and I was just like, that's awesome. God, this dude there's an identity to this defense. They're just filthy. They're nasty.
I'm very much an offensive guy. Like I prefer to watch offense. I like offense. I love when our defense is on. Like I just
fun to
watching
watch.
our defense and watching them swarm to the ball and be energized. It's different. It has a different feel to it. Like we've never had defense like this. Nobody's seen a defense like this in 50 years.
Nope. To talk about the pass rush win rate, this is what we're feeling. So if you look at, I'm PFF premium stats here, looking at San Francisco. So Hufanga must be their free safety. He had a 33. I don't know how many times he was putting pressure, but as far as their line goes, Randy Gregory had a 10%. Hargrave had a 12.5%. Nick Bosa was 8.8. So keep those numbers in mind. Our guys, Tomlinson, 21.1, Garrett, 20.8, Za'Darius, 21.7, Shelby Harris, 16.7, Obo, 14.3, Maurice Hurst, 16.7. Everybody's up around that 20% pass rush win rate.
Yep.
Not just one or two guys, every freaking guy. And it's, man, you feel it. You see it on the field.
And the thing is too, is that it's not like we're just pass rush specialists.
Right.
Nobody can run the ball on us.
Yep.
And the secondary's just as filthy.
So we're playing man coverage and nobody can. I mean, it helps that you just mentioned the win rate.
Yeah.
So quarterbacks got to get rid of the ball or they're toast.
And that's what you're seeing.
Yes. And we got the athletes who can lock up they don't got to lock them up for 3, 4, 5 seconds anymore. You got to lock this guy up for 2 seconds. If you can lock this guy up for 2 seconds, we're going to get home. Mm-hmm. And it's happening. And so, man, can they continue at this historic pace? I don't know if it's sustainable to do this. We're going to eventually play some better offenses, but this was the best offenses in football outside of maybe the Dolphins.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I know there was weather and they had an injury too, but man, it was domination. It was domination.
You see good offenses put up good numbers in rain and snow and whatever.
I've seen him do it a lot of times.
Josh Allen does it almost every week in
That's
Buffalo.
fair. That's very good.
You can do it, just not against us.
So before we get into a voicemail, I did want to talk about, I put this out there because I want to support our head coach a little bit. There was a point in this game. Okay. So everybody believes Kyle Shanahan's like top 1 to 3 coach in football. There's 4 minutes to go in the game.
Uh-huh.
They get the ball back.
Yep.
And they throw 3 straight times.
Mm-hmm.
Give us the ball back. Took off like 20 seconds, if that. Gave us the ball back with 3.5, 4 minutes to go and with timeouts. So now instead of us having to burn timeouts or having not a lot of time left and we have to come out and PJ Walker's got to put it all on his shoulders and the whole playbook's open.
Yep.
We can still run the ball. You guys would be running Stefanski out of town for doing that. And my point here is I hope you see that every coach in the league does stuff that it's not in a vacuum. Kevin Stefanski is not the only coach who isn't 100% perfect 100% of the time. It's all throughout the league. Like we have a coach who has won over 50% of his games in Cleveland. He's won a playoff game in Cleveland, and his quarterbacks have been Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett, DTR, Case Keenum for a game, and a rusty Deshaun. And just as he gets Deshaun to play a good game, he gets hurt.
Yep.
Then you get PJ Walker.
And a PJ Walker, an XFL quarterback against the best team in football. And this dude has won over 50% of his games. Most coaches do not win games with their backup quarterback. And he's coached 11 games last year with his backup. He's coached 3 games this year with his backup, or 2 games this year with backups. And he's won over 50% of his games. Like we gotta give the guy you gotta stop. We won this game. I'm seeing people on Twitter talking about how we gotta fire him. One person said we only won by default. We got lucky. We won, but we could have lost. We could lose every game. Turns out they're professional athletes too. They're professional coaches too. And this is not high school football. It is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be ugly sometimes, especially when you're overmatched.
Zach Wilson and the Jets just went out and beat the Eagles.
Yes.
Like this stuff
They got
happens.
great defense too.
Yeah. And they're coached well.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on this.
And I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, I think anytime that we present, what do I want to say, anything negative about Kevin, it's not get rid of him. It's, I wish he would maybe do this better or try this differently.
Yes.
It's not get rid of the guy. No. It's everybody can improve at all times. Shanahan still has room to improve. Like Bill Belichick. I mean, look at these coaches. Like not everybody's perfect all the time.
Staley can improve slightly.
Yes. I mean, Mike McCarthy yesterday, if you guys watched Monday Night Football, had 8 seconds to go at the end of the half with a timeout and intentionally ran it down to 3 seconds to call timeout so they didn't run a play at the end zone.
Right.
I don't know if everybody's just like, what is this guy doing? This guy has a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
I mean, it was like, what was it, the Giants game, Dable with Tyrod Taylor there at the end of the half.
Oh, and he audibled out. I think that was Tyrod.
I know, and well, you knew it was because he came out
Dable
ripping him on the way of the, I mean,
but so
it happens.
My point is, I'm not saying Stefanski, we can't critique him or wishes he would do some different things with the offense, but at the end of the day, the dude took over literally a dumpster fire of an organization, has provided stability. Nobody can figure out what's going on with Deshaun. You know why? Because it's being kept in-house finally. If Freddie was here still or Hugh Jackson, everybody would know what was going on, and it would just be a dumpster fire.
Freddie would have wore a T-shirt that said Deshaun has a contusion in his shoulder.
This dude is winning over 50% of his games. He took over a dumpster fire. He's provided leadership, stability. He realized it might have taken longer than we all liked. He got rid of Joe Woods. He brought in Jim Schwartz. Guess who hired Jim Schwartz, guys? Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, and all this, Jim Schwartz is going to be a head coaching candidate next year and all this stuff. I don't think so.
Well, one, he doesn't want to.
I don't think
because he was stepping away from that.
Yes, if he wanted that, he could already have it. And I think he loves what he's doing. Right? You see him on the sideline. He loves this.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Oh, he's Mr. Swag over there.
Yes, he's having so much
They're bought in.
And to the people who, I saw this stat. We'll get off it. If it comes back up in the chat or something, we'll bring it up. But Jim Schwartz head coaching record, guys. So to everybody who wants to get rid of Kevin Stefanski and make Jim Schwartz the head coach, he's 29-51. He had prime Matthew Stafford and Megatron. And prime Ndamukong Suh. So please, I'm not saying we can't critique his offense. We can't wish he would do some things. There's going to be calls every game by every coach that you don't 100% agree with. But this calling radio stations and saying he's terrible and he needs to be my God, he's the best coach we've had in a long time. And I'm not saying you should settle, but he's been doing it with practice squad guys, backups, all kinds of stuff. Everybody wanted to talk to us the last 2 weeks about should have kept Baker. He's 3-1. Look how well he's doing. Well, he just played a second real football team this week, and what did he look like? Crap.
And anybody on Twitter that says, you guys think you should roll with PJ instead of Deshaun?
Oh, my God. Is that really a real thing?
Oh, I've seen
That's why I don't do that. That's why I don't get on the X.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So just...
Yeah, I'm so you didn't watch the game. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So Browns fans.
He'd made just enough to get through the game, but let's not.
And he avoided just enough mistakes.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
But credit to him, he did enough to win that game. I'm not here to bash him. there were some questionable things that happened, but
I wanted
he
to
brought
say
a win
this,
home.
because I noticed throughout the game, every time pressure got to him, he'd find someone like underneath.
Sure.
And that's exactly what we were saying after the Ravens game is there was a lot of that. And I think this is really good evidence that you can't really blame Stefanski for that, because the game plan was very similar between Ravens and 49ers as far as that goes. So PJ Walker's got a little bit more experience. He's able to see those underneath guys, and he really capitalized on that. So again, DTR, I think he's going to be fine one day.
Yeah, bro.
But he struggled in his first game ever. I don't really think it's fair to blame Kevin for that, because he should have been seeing those guys.
You know, you're talking about XFL MVP PJ Walker.
Yeah.
Put some respect on that guy's name. I won't say it no more.
You don't have to.
So
I learned my lesson.
that was my rant. I just want to say, Browns fans, let's not be that fan base. Let's not be the Bears who want to, run Justin Fields out of town now. Let's just be smarter fan bases, please. Let's appreciate the fact that we just won a game we weren't supposed to, and it's potentially a turning point for the Browns. So I digress.
Correct.
We can move on.
No, we're
Correct.
cool. We're going to dive into another voicemail here. But before we do, DraftKings in Ohio, they're running a new promotion. You guys don't want to miss this. New users can place a $5 first bet, instantly claim $200 in bonus bets. You also will be rewarded with a separate no-sweat single game parlay every single day when you opt in. All you have to do is sign up with our code, THEDAWGS, all one word. Our code, THEDAWGS, gets you these great bonuses, and it also supports our podcast. So if you guys have been considering signing up for DraftKings, make sure you use the code THEDAWGS or scan the QR code that's not on the screen because I don't have the graphic up. But anyway, you get my gist. This offer is only available for new customers who are 21 and older, physically present in Ohio. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. Blake, you should have placed that bet on CMC getting another touchdown.
I know it's the easiest bet in football, and I didn't do it because I wasn't going to do it against the Browns. I just didn't have that in me.
And you were almost right if it weren't for that first drive.
Yeah, but it's literally the easiest stat in football. Anytime touchdown scorer, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. All right, so here's voicemail from Brad.
What's up, Browns fans? This is Brad Moneymaker. Oh my God. 49ers missed that kick. Jeez. Let's go. Freaking beat the 49ers with our just one quarterback. Our defense was absolutely elite. Screw the 49ers. Screw this Super Bowl bust. Blah, blah. I don't want to hear it. And all these players hurt, blah, blah, blah. We got a bunch of players hurt. I don't want to hear no excuses from the national media, but you know how it's going to go.
Brad Moneymaker, you never disappoint, brother, on the voicemail. And just keep it up, dog, because I love all that again.
Mm-hmm.
No,
good energy.
We touched on, there is no excuses. There's no excuses at all. We're really good friends with a 49ers fan, and he's grew up a 49ers fan, and he loves the Browns also, but number one in his heart, it's the 49ers. So this was a tough game for him to watch. And he didn't offer up no excuses. He just, we got whooped. So
Same thing.
You know what I mean?
Same guy out. 49er fan I was talking to, no excuses.
I mean, honestly, if we would end up, if they would have made that field goal at the end, I think bad calls, hurt players, all those excuses, I wouldn't have thought of any of them. The one thing I would have thought of, why does Sione Takitaki not tackle Brandon Ayuk?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of people saying Kevin's time clock management at the end was bad because of the pass on second down by PJ Walker, and it almost cost us the game. One, PJ Walker wasn't supposed to throw that ball.
Okay. Oh, the one in the end zone?
The one in the end
That was a
zone.
bad one.
That
Where
is
everybody's hearts
died.
just stopped.
Yeah, mine did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even mind the play call, but PJ Walker just
Get down.
He has to do what he's told. Roll out. You don't throw that ball unless there is nobody within 100 feet of one of our players, and you can literally just underhand toss it to him for a touchdown. That's what he's been coached since birth. Like the doctor picked him up, spanked him in the butt, and said, "Hey, on this play, don't do that." And he's like, "Yes, sir." Yeah. And then for some reason in this moment, he forgot. So he knows that the play call wasn't the issue. It was the execution by the backup quarterback that was the problem. But two, the Niners didn't even end up using that timeout.
Nope.
So it didn't cost anything, okay, except for maybe a little bit of time. But it still, there would have been they would have used the timeout. Okay, and then they still would have had all that time. They still made it down the field with 40 seconds to go in the game.
Yeah.
They never used the timeout. If you wanted to blame anything, them catching that pass in our 5 defensive players it's like they were shocked that Ayuk caught the ball. Like they couldn't believe it. Like, oh my God, I just caught that pass.
He is very good.
Wow.
He's very, very good. And very athletic.
They just like stood there for a second. Like they were frozen.
They just stopped.
It was weird. I couldn't explain it. I had no idea what was going on. And I thought, I was like, that's going to be what cost us this game is they just inexplicably just stopped and watched a guy catch a ball and run. And I could not understand what happened. Luckily for us, it doesn't
matter. Yeah.
So I'll see a lot of people in here talking about Cooper. We got to touch on Cooper. The dude is a stud. Okay, he had the game he had, and I don't know if you guys have seen this play floating around a little bit. There was a play where he is in the slot on the right side of the line, and he broke this dude's ankles coming off the line, and it's a crawl-in touchdown if PJ Walker throws it to him, and instead PJ Walker throws it out of bounds down the left sideline. If he's watching, Cooper has 180 yards and a touchdown. I mean, this dude's releases at the line of scrimmage, he made like 4 guys fall yesterday.
Yeah. Well, you remember we were up there week 1 against Cincinnati, and how many times were we watching down the field and, there's pressure in Deshaun's face, or, in week 1, I still felt like Deshaun was not trusting what he was seeing. Cooper, like, is he that open all the time? Yes, he is.
7-Eleven open.
Always open.
Yes. I saw we've started 3 different quarterbacks through 5 games, and he's still on pace for like 75 catches and 1,200 yards or something.
That catch he had in double coverage.
Oh, I saw next gen stats. That was a 9% probability catch. It was the lowest probability catch of any pass thrown this week in the whole NFL.
Did you see the defense too? Once he caught it, they lost their mind.
I didn't even know like that was in Amari Cooper's game. Like him as like the great tactician and the route runner and creating separation. I didn't know just going up and high pointing a ball over everybody. I didn't even know he had that in his arsenal. Like he went, I was just like, oh my God, that was
pretty sick.
On the broadcast, they said when PJ Walker found out he was starting, he called Jacoby Brissett for like advice. And Brissett said, if Amari Cooper beats this guy off the line, just throw it to him.
And Jacoby, he made his money on that last year.
Yeah,
there were a couple times you saw where like he just kind of chucked it up to him, like, "Hey, hopefully my guy goes and makes a play."
Yeah.
And that's what you do when you have good wide receivers. Sometimes you just let them go make a play, and he did. And I feel like that's like a kind of throw like DTR wouldn't have made that. He's covered. He wouldn't have made that. He would have held the ball, ran around, done whatever. But he had 4 catches, 108 yards. Jerome Ford ended up having 17 carries for 84 yards. I do want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we need to.
So I think Kareem Hunt should be the starter.
100% agree.
I do too.
I just worry about the vision. I worry about the vision.
Jerome Ford looks good when we run like a toss or something. He can get out on the edge. He looks, but anytime where it's like an inside zone or something, and he's got to like just make one cut and go. He doesn't seem to have that one cut and go thing right now.
Now, when he does hit a hole,
it's good.
Oh, he
can go.
And when
he's got juice and he can explode, but it's not that often.
But he doesn't break a lot of tackles. He doesn't fall forward a lot. And I think you saw with Kareem Hunt going and being kind of like the battering ram and really like stuffing out up in the inside. Then Jerome Ford's change of pace was like enough to catch him off guard a little bit. Like it was a nice change. I just don't think like Kareem Hunt looks slow to me. I know he came in lighter. He still looks slow, but he's decisive at least. Yeah. He puts his foot in the ground, makes one cut, gets north and south, and it's not negative runs. He's falling forward. He's punishing guys. So to me, I would go with Kareem Hunt as your starter right now. I know we kind of eased him back in a little bit the first 2 weeks. I'd go with Kareem, and I'd keep Jerome Ford as this change of pace guy right now because there's just too many 0 to negative yard runs with him.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, the vision. He's got it. There's a couple of times where it's like, man, just go. Just put your foot in the ground, cut and go. And he's dancing in the hole like he can't find it.
Yeah, they were talking about that a lot on the broadcast, right? Where they were saying how the Browns, like right now, especially with PJ Walker, you know what I mean? We're not built for 3rd and long.
Yes.
We can't execute on 3rd and long right now with this offense. And we are instantly in 2nd and long if we run on 1st down with Jerome Ford. It sucks.
Chad's kind of saying that they thought he got better as the game went on. I agree with that. That's completely fair. Talking about Ford.
I think Hunt was wearing him down a little bit though, too,
Yeah. Just disappointed. I was hoping to see more out of Ford. We were very excited about him coming into the season, just as the backup, just as that next guy behind Nick Chubb to be the new Kareem Hunt role.
And it sucks too because I think we got so used to just when the ball would go to Chubb, it was just
make stuff
automatic.
happen.
It was just automatic. We never had to worry about really anything. So
yeah,
here we
it
are.
sucks because nobody. I mean, you're not going to plug and play anybody who's going to break tackles like Nick Chubb, has the vision 100%. Like Nick Chubb, the speed, the burst, the stiff arm, the power, all that stuff in one package. I mean, man, are we missing that guy?
Generational player.
Yes.
He says Ford 4.9 a carry, Hunt 3.9 a carry. Again, I get that, but
Ford had a big run.
Yes,
It was like that
It was a nice
Barkley
run.
type of 4 yards
Yes,
carry.
exactly.
So
Bunch of short ones, one really long run. You know, he had a few good runs without a doubt, but
Yeah.
He just mentioned Saquon Barkley. Somebody in the dog pack texted today and asked what we thought of. Would you trade something like if you could get him for the right price or whatever draft capital? Would you trade for Saquon right now?
If you can get him for here's the thing is I know New York's kind of a dumpster fire, but I don't think they want to move on from him.
Well, they didn't want to commit to him.
I mean, they committed enough that they paid him.
No, they
just a little bit above the tag. It was like $800,000 raise off the tag.
They didn't want to commit to him long term. They're in full on dumpster fire mode. They don't have the money to pay him next year because they gave it all to Daniel Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so if you could get him, and he's a running back, and we're seeing the running back market. These guys, they're not going. The only place you're getting a ton of draft capital for running backs is in our dynasty league with John.
So what's a reasonable price for Saquon Barkley? Honestly, because I don't think you're getting him for like a fifth or a sixth.
Would you give up a third?
Todd says Barkley's always injured. Does that worry you guys at all? Because I mean, I know that running backs are.
He wasn't injured last year.
Yeah, and his rookie year was nice, but I mean, there's years before. There's
he's already missed some time this year,
and he's still hurt.
See, and a lot of his
now.
like you said, John, he's not that the most efficient runner now. Is that a product of the offense? His offensive line? Would he be better here?
Well,
I don't know.
I made that comparison, but Saquon is better.
Oh, he's definitely better. I'm just saying,
he's better than anybody we got
for
right
a
now.
third. I mean, this is last year is the franchise tag, so we'd pay him for 1 year, and we don't have to commit to him. And he's not like Nick Chubb in the sense that we don't even have to really. Man, I'd run him like 30 times a game.
I don't know what running backs are getting traded for right now because you're seeing guys like today we got the alerts, Royce Freeman, James Robinson. I mean, just Leonard Fournette's up in Buffalo. I mean,
and he's still available. I don't think that does anything for us.
I don't know if I would do it or not. I'm just ballparking, spitting out ideas that were texted to us today.
Can I throw a crazy name out too? Yeah. Just whenever you guys are good. I got one that I'd like to toss out there.
My thought on Saquon is he's great out of the backfield catching the ball.
Absolutely.
He's an explosive athlete that the other team has to game plan around.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was better than both the running backs we have on our roster right now. All three of the running backs we have on our roster right now. And you'd pay him for this year. And then if worst case scenario, we get bad news on Chubb next year. Like, hey, this is worse than we thought. Rehab's not going great. We don't know if this guy's going to be Nick Chubb or whatever. Okay, well, now we got Saquon in the building. Then we maybe we can work out a deal with him if you know what I mean. So I saw the plus sides to it. I don't know if it's a realistic thing. I don't know if we're looking to make that kind of move. I think we need a wide receiver. I see somebody in here saying we need a left tackle, which we'll get into that too. But what were you?
I just want to see if your name's the one that's in my head too. Go ahead.
Former Cleveland Brown player?
No, never mind.
Okay, so they ESPN put out a little poll or whatever on who would be a great fit for each team or whatever.
Dearness Johnson.
They said Dearness Johnson. And I'm like, you could probably get him super cheap. And every time he's ever been called up, just automatic.
I do like that idea.
But I don't know. And now this is when the line was better. I don't know if.
See, the name I had was Aaron Jones from Green Bay.
Oh, my goodness.
They might be looking to offload his contract. I don't think he's there after this season, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're correct there.
And I mean, they could be in a position where they need to clear some space, kind of move on from some older guys. And he's still got I think enough that he could offer some explosive.
He can't stay healthy though.
I know.
He's been out he played one game. He's been out the rest of the year.
You got a 28-year-old running back with a hamstring injury. Right. That can linger. So that is a worry.
So it's worth. I do think the Browns should be buyers at the trade deadline.
I think so too.
Because
which is coming up. It's the October 31st.
I'm not saying we need to. I'm not saying they got to like go out and look for like some huge splash move, but I do think we need another wide receiver. I know like it's tough to evaluate wide receiver play right now with because we've started 3 different quarterbacks. One of the games was in the rain. Nobody played well against the Steelers, but DPJ is non-existent.
Well, yes,
and
DPJ is non-existent. Elijah Moore is getting open, but he's not getting the ball. So maybe I don't know. Maybe we need to evaluate when Deshaun's healthy, but we don't have time for that. So the wide receiver thing. Where do you guys fall on left tackle? Because I thought I made the comment yesterday was the first game in I don't know how long that I watched Jedrick Wills play that I wasn't questioning his effort. He still had the penalty that cost us a big first down, and I'm not saying he played a perfect game, but man, if the guy can just give 100% effort all the time, he was playing with emotion. He was, you know what I mean? Like if he can just give you, we can coach him. The guy's got talent. He was Joe Thomas's favorite guy coming out of the draft for a reason. Like he was a highly ranked player. So where do you guys stand? Was this enough game for you to be like, maybe he can build on this? He can see what he needs to do now? Like the kind of effort that's required playing and play out to be successful? Or is that bridge already burnt and we got to move on?
Man, as long as he's here, the bridge isn't burnt. Like, let's see, but I can't make a prediction on that. I would honestly say history shows us he's probably going to continue to look as though he's lacking effort. So, I mean, the question is who can you get and for how much if the trade deadline's coming up in like less than 2 weeks.
Well, we talked about Garrett Bowles.
That's like the only name I've
heard
from
Denver. And I definitely think Denver's going to be sellers at the trade deadline.
I think they're big sellers right
Jerry
now.
Judy's out the door already.
Where do you guys stand on the big talk? Is the Browns being interested in him? I just see nothing. That says I want him.
A lack of effort from him. Like I already see, like we see with Jed Wills on the line. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a big fan of Jerry Jeudy.
He's was a huge name coming out of college, and I just feel like he's still living off the. What's he done in the league?
That's a great question.
I
don't see how he adds immediate value to our roster.
I don't know his career. Maybe he's better than I anticipate. I don't watch a lot of Denver games, but I just feel like he hasn't done much to warrant.
The last few games of last year, he kind of went on a nice run, and then I think that he'll have a nice game, but then there's 2-3 that are just kind of whatever games. Yeah. Somebody said Cortland Sutton. Andrew Jackson said Cortland Sutton. Somebody also said Adam Thielen. I don't think Carolina's moving him. That is Bryce's only like safety valve. That dude is getting like 11.
I need him where he's at, guys. I reached on him in fantasy.
Okay. Well, you didn't reach on him, but you probably got him in like the 14th round and looked like a stud in fantasy football right now.
For me, the wide receiver thing is an interesting conversation to have because we spent a second-round pick to get Elijah Moore. We drafted Cedric Tillman with a third-round pick. I think he's caught one pass so far this year. DPJ doesn't get targeted ever. I feel like we don't utilize our wide receivers. So why? I mean, is it the wide receivers that we don't utilize them because they're not getting it done, or is it just our offense where
people say it's the offense?
We could go get another great wide receiver and then not utilize them. I don't know.
Well, how great are you talking here? Like that dream trade people were talking about Devontae Adams. That's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen.
That's not real life.
But I'm just saying, like you'd be forced to utilize him. But Elijah Moore, I mean, I'd probably have to go back and watch more film than I have to see our guys getting open and we're just not seeing them. We've played a backup quarterback now twice.
I know it's tough.
So do we have another voicemail? We don't run out of time.
No, we've got 2 more actually. Okay. So this one's from Vontae.
Shout out to the Cleveland Browns, man. We showed up today, man. Shout out to everybody who believed in us and had a little bit of faith and then just give up because we was playing the 5-0 49ers. You know, that O had to go, like Amari Cooper said. But yeah, the Browns showed up, man. The defense played lights out. Kevin Stefanski caught a hell of a game, man. It's certain plays that we wish we can have back, but for the most part, he caught a hell of a game. I'm super excited for him and the organization, man. Only thing I am tired of, we can get rid of that Elijah Moore end around play. I'm sick of that. Get that out the playbook. But other than that, go Browns.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, he looks like he's just out of his wheelhouse right now with the way we're trying to use him, because even when he gets the ball in his hands, he almost looks like he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, constantly going backwards shows that. Like, he just can't make a decision.
And there, like the one screen pass he caught, which ended up, like, it was a pretty nice play by Walker to even get him the ball. And then he got the ball with tons of open space. I was like, this dude's got the edge. Like, get to the sideline. I thought he could have, like, made it a decent gain, and for some reason he stopped. And then he just, like, you know, and I was just like, this guy kind of looks lost with the ball in his hand right now. Like, he's just not completely comfortable. I'm pretty sure I saw, though, that he's literally always open. Like, he leads something in separation and whatnot.
He leads the entire league in average separation right now, 4.4.
So let's just let him run routes. Yep. Let's just get Deshaun back. Let's get Deshaun healthy, and let's let this guy run routes. Deshaun can be our playmaker back here, because I like that we're trying to use him. And I'm sure he likes being used, because that was his big gripe in New York, was that he just never even got the ball. His usage is pretty high. He's got a ton of catches, or like 50-some catches, right?
No, he's got 21 on 33 targets. So that's it. And only like 167 yards or something over 5 games, but he doesn't have a single drop.
So he's efficient, like 20, you know what I mean?
We talked about his hands coming in and his route running, and what those stats, no drops, and his average separation being league leader right now. Those 2 things are true.
Yeah. He gets a lot of targets. Let's just let him go. Let's just let him go run routes, because clearly, like, this is just not his wheelhouse. He doesn't even seem comfortable when he gets the ball in that situation. He looks slow, and the guy's not. He's crazy fast. Mm-hmm. So
Jared's saying Hollywood Brown.
It's an interesting name.
It is another great route runner.
Yeah. I've also heard like McCole Hardman.
No,
I'm not big fan
on that.
McCole.
No.
If we're going to run these sweeps and stuff, do it Marquise Goodwin.
Oh, dude, Goodwin's now. That's how it's supposed to look.
The only problem is because he's not a regular guy in the receiver rotation, is then you put him in, it's like, okay, well, they're running jet sweep to Marquise Goodwin here. Or they got something up their sleeves. So if you want to start working them in, you're going to have to start working them into the offense, like, organically a little bit more, so they can't just key on it every time he's in there. He can't play 5 snaps and 3 of them are end arounds or something to him. You know what I mean? So, but I wouldn't mind that's a guy that we expected a lot of explosive plays out of this year. Again, Deshaun's only played 3 games. One of them was in a rainstorm. One of them, we looked amazing. And then the second one was the Steelers debacle, which we don't,
we've already moved.
It's over.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, like, it just really sucks for the Browns and for Watson and our offense as a whole. Is the last game we played as a healthy offense, well, as healthy as we can be without Chubb and Conklin, is we looked great.
Yeah, we did.
You know what I mean? Like, Deshaun looked great. So and then he hasn't got to play since. So it's like, man, there's just been no opportunity to build on that. And it's I'm excited to get him back. I heard, like, he's trending in the right direction and there's a chance he could play. But I feel like he's going to have to practice at some point.
I thought somebody said earlier he was cleared to throw. Right as soon as we got in there, I haven't gotten that.
He's been cleared to throw this whole time. I think it's been his own limitation.
Well, that's the thing that's crazy too. Is people are like, I just don't understand why he's not out there. I'm like, well, if he can't lift his head, hand over his head, what do you want him to do? I will say,
I think that the messaging was misconstrued, and I think it was a faux pas. I don't think Kevin meant to or should have said anything about being medically cleared. I just think that was the terminology that was probably used with him. So that's just what he said in that press conference.
Right.
He should have just come out and said, he's hurt, guys. Like,
he's not going to play.
He cannot play quarterback right now, and he'll be back as soon as he can. Like, that's all he had to say.
Mary Kay came out and said that last week he threw a lot more than they knew, than the media was told.
Oh, okay.
Like, he said the Browns have been super tight-lipped, but they know last week that they didn't think he was throwing like hardly at all again last week, and turns out he was throwing a pretty decent amount. I'd love to have him back for the Colts. I want to get him back.
We need a tune-up game with him, and this could be that.
Yeah, this is one of those. So it'd be classic Browns to beat the Niners and then come out and lose to the Colts.
Yep.
Let's start stacking wins. Okay, we won a game we shouldn't. Now let's go and win a game we should. Gardner Minshew just threw 3 picks to the Jaguars. Well, our defense is just a little bit better than the Jaguars.
Just a little bit. Mm-hmm.
What is going on right now? We got Baltimore Raven fans in here talking about respect to the Browns defense.
Aaron's been in here saying
hell must be freezing over. What's up, Aaron?
He's been in here the whole time talking about how good our defense is. I mean,
they're good.
I almost fell out of my chair.
Still disappointed he doesn't have the emoji next to his name. But 99 cents, brother. 99 cents. Just become a member. But okay, last voicemail. This one's from our boy Kenny Mack.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, guys, it is Kenny Mack at Bang Bang Missed Field Goal Gang. 19-7 any given Sunday, man. You don't
17.
know what's going to happen. And, man, I'll tell you, Cleveland Browns fans, our initials C&B, it's Cleveland Browns, right? Not crybabies, because I am tired of hearing about Kevin being fired, or you want, your sour grapes Mayfield in the media all the time. Guys, if you can't get over it, you know what? Get a pen, get a paper here. Write this down. www.tampabaybucks.com. They're looking for fans. Guys, I want to savor this win. I'm not going to talk nothing about it. I just really enjoyed this one. The one thing I will say, that was a poorly officiated game on both sides. But savor it, Browns fans. Savor it. Let's go, Browns.
Couldn't have put it better, Kenny.
That's right, man.
Couldn't have put it better. What's up, brother?
How do you exit this game as a fan without being way more positive than negative?
Yeah, I agree. I went into the game, like I said, expecting disappointment. And I was like, let's just try to play a clean game. Let's look sharp. Let's hope the defense comes out and plays tough. Keep it as close as they can. And then we're playing well. And at halftime, I'm like, well, hey, we should be up. I'm like, and I'm telling myself, well, no matter what happens in the second half, like I feel a lot better about the Browns going forward.
Yeah,
like I feel.
And we were
good.
saying that, chatting back and forth during the game. Like, hey, we're pretty encouraged. This is good stuff.
No matter what happens in the second half, I feel really good about like how we came out and fought in this game. And then by middle of the fourth quarter, I'm like, if we lose this game, I'm breaking my TV.
I know that's what we were talking about. Yeah, by the end of the game, it was like now I went from being okay, we're probably going to lose to, well, hey, this would be a good, we're going to lose, but hey, we look good too. I'm going to be so pissed off.
Yeah,
we do not win this game now.
I was pacing my living room. My child and my wife were just looking at me like, "Is Dad okay?" And I'm like, no,
he's not okay.
He hit the go-ahead field goal. I thought there's no way our defense is letting them get into field goal range, right?
Then they march straight down.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about it. They come out. I'm like, man, we've been stuffing them all day. We're going to be okay here.
One missed tackle, and we almost picked off his first play of that drive.
So
that was the JOK, right?
Yeah, I hate to say almost, because we didn't do it, but man, one missed tackle could have. Wow, I'm so pumped though.
I know. I've been on cloud nine. I can't stop just looking at Browns things, watching Browns things. I was so pumped, and I knew I shouldn't have been, but I was like, man, this is a big win. I kind of want to get on. I want to see what the national media guys are going to be saying about us because this is a big win.
Nothing.
And on Get Up, they talked about it for a minute, and they were just like, it was like a side thing, and I was like, we just beat one of the only undefeated teams in football.
They're like, watch out, McCaffrey's hurt.
Yeah, and
will
then
we play Monday?
Just all kinds of excuses. I turned on The Herd for some reason. I guess
that was stupid.
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment.
Because I saw you tweeting at him.
Yeah, and this dude led off his show, and he had, for lack of a better term, the balls to say that's as good of a loss as you can ask for in the NFL. He was like, this game was set up for disaster for the Niners, and they had a chance to win it at the end. That's as good of a loss as you can ask for. And I was like, what?
That wasn't the narrative all week that I heard.
10.5 point dogs?
I'm like, yeah, we were 10. There's no way you can say losing to the team that you were 10.5 point favorites as is a good loss. You sound so freaking stupid. I just wish I could go on his show and tell him how freaking dumb it sounded. He said he had the nerve to say, he said, you had to go across the country with a 7th round quarterback. I'm like, you haven't been referring to Brock Purdy as a 7th round quarterback?
No, everybody's saying, he's got to quit holding his draft capital against him.
Yeah.
He's an elite quarterback. That's all we've heard.
MVP discussions,
Yes.
but now all of a sudden he's just a 7th round quarterback.
Right.
The Browns made him look foolish. So all of a sudden, he's finally showing he's a 7th round quarterback. I bet you Brock Purdy still goes on to have a pretty good year. Maybe the Browns defense is just really fucking good.
Yeah. We've made a lot of quarterbacks look really bad this year.
Yeah. So it's just like he led off the show with that, and I just almost blacked out. I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, I cannot believe this dude just said it was a good loss. They are 10.5 point favorites. And he was blaming, they had 2 bad calls go against them. Did you not see the touchdown wiped off the board?
Yeah, I keep seeing people that say, the refs handed the Browns the game. I'm like, well, tell me you didn't watch the whole game without telling me.
We had more penalty yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh my, he got on national TV and said that with a straight face, and nobody in his ear was like, bro, stop, you sound stupid. Stop. Nobody told him to stop. They were just like, oh,
Pull it back.
Like, oh my God, I was almost embarrassed for him. I was like, that is so dumb. That's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen anybody say on national TV.
I was really
10.5 point favorites.
Who's the co-host for 92.3 with Carmen?
Lima. And I'm normally not a huge Lima fan.
Me either, but I've never been more proud of a Cleveland media person just completely letting loose. Because that was everything I felt all week, and then the game was over, and I still heard that, and I was just like, I cannot believe that we're still finding excuses why we should be upset with the outcome of how this game went. It's so I don't have a voice because of it. And here we are, we're talking about the reasons why we shouldn't have won the game. Guys, take the damn win and move forward.
Do you think the Chiefs after the Jets game or after they played the sorry ass Broncos, do you think they're like, well, we could have lost if you won? Yeah. This is the NFL. This is professional athlete against professional athlete. These are the best coaches in the world at what they do against the best coaches in the world. Like, this is the National Football League. There's a reason the average margin of victory is 3.5. There's not blowouts very often. You don't see 70-20 ever. Okay, except for this year. Weeks ago. Okay, like it's just our fan base. I feel like sometimes our fan base just watches games in a vacuum. Like they think we're the only team that has a coach that might he calls 70 plays in a game and 2 of them they didn't agree with. Oh my God, we're the only. No, Andy Reid calls bad plays. The Chiefs can't score in the red zone this year.
Yeah.
And
the W is the most important stat.
It's like, my God, I've never been such a big fan of Lima in my life during that rant. And then one of the last things I guess I wanted to touch on was, I don't know, you guys know Andrew Siciliano? He's on NFL Network. He's got the big ears.
Yes.
So he's like a diehard Browns fan. He grew up a Browns fan, and he's on NFL Network. I think he's like hosting stuff right now for Rich Eisen because Eisen's in London, and he got to do the Browns call on the radio. Since Donovan's not doing calls right now, and the normal guy who's filling in couldn't do it, so he got to do it. And as a lifelong Brown fan, like he was very excited for the chance to do that. I actually sent the dog pack this video, but he calls this he calls the game winner. And then Nathan Zagura, I felt that in my heart. Nathan Zagura, I thought I was going to cry. Like at the end, he was like, no Watson, no Chubb, no Batonio, no problem. And I was just like I felt that in my soul, like his almost tears. And I was just, and Andrew's like, he called the game like I would have called the game if I got to do it, just losing his mind. And I watched a video of him talking about it, and he said afterwards he was embarrassed. I'm like, bro, don't be embarrassed. I watched the same video. That was like the call of my life. It was a super cool, and like that's what it means to the city and to the fans. Like, be happy, please. Can we please be happy?
And for a franchise that's been so desperate for this.
Yes.
Even for, I know this sounds bad as a Browns fan to say this, but if you would have told me 2-2, I'd have been like, oh, hey, 2-2. Shit, this is a lot better than usually how this starts off. This is, it's great time.
And I think that's a good point, because you talk about this a lot, Blake, coming up to, what is this now? We're going into week 7, about how our schedule at the beginning of the season was the toughest. And we're coming out of this with 2 games with backup quarterbacks, and we're going to come out of this first 5 games 3-2.
We're in the playoffs. If season were to end right now, we're in the playoffs.
A backup and a practice squad back.
Yes, correct.
Or a practice squad quarterback.
The emergency QB.
Yeah.
Yes, he's still not on the active roster or something but he's like still. I think according to the unofficial or depth chart I saw today, DTR is still the QB2
because they elevated him,
because they
have to put him back down.
Put him back down. He's not even on the roster.
Yeah, that's very.
He's not even on the active roster today.
And now we talked about this earlier. We can't, obviously, we have to stack wins. We can't just look past this and think, okay, we got that big win, now we're good. But we are going into a stretch of very winnable games.
Yes.
With this defense, very winnable games. We just have to execute it, stack them, and we're going to be okay.
Yes, you have a very real possibility if you come out and take care of business. And again, they have to show us that they can stack wins. But they have a very good chance to our next game against the Ravens to be sitting at 6-2. And you got to stack the wins, because if you go look at our division, some of these teams we've played all these tough teams early. They play these teams late.
Yes.
The Ravens end the season, Jaguars, Niners, Dolphins, Steelers.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? So we got to keep pace and then just hope they trip up at the end, because that's their gauntlets at the end. Chance of injuries are higher. I mean, I know we just went through it with injuries, but just to end it up, if I would have told you that after 5 games, you were going to play without Chubb, Conklin, Bitonio, Watson, you were going to have to start PJ Walker.
I'd have been like, PJ Walker's on our team.
Yeah. If you would have looked at our schedule, saw who we played the first 5 games, and I told you all those guys were going to miss extended time, most people would have said we might beat the Steelers. Like, that was like the hot game that everybody said we were going to win.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before anything was played. And then after week 1, they went and said, maybe you'll just beat the Titans. But nobody picked us to beat the Bengals.
Nope.
Nobody picked us for anything. There were guys who, assuming we were healthy, were picking us to only win 6 games this year. So and that was assuming we were healthy all season. So for us to come through this phase of the schedule, the hardest part of our schedule, to be over 500, 3-2, if the season were to end today, we're in the playoffs with we have the 7th easiest schedule in the league now, and there's no such thing as an easy schedule in the NFL. I understand, but we will be favorited in probably most of the rest of our games. The Ravens and the Steelers game, we'll see what it goes. But I would say in a majority of the rest of our games, the Browns are going to be favorites. Okay, you just made it through the gauntlet, and you're 3-2, and you did it with starting 3 different quarterbacks in 5 games.
Definitely need Watson.
Yes.
I think if Watson is healthy and out there, absolutely. Because the defense is keeping them in games with really, really good teams with a practice squad quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. So just be positive, be happy. This is as far as regular season win goes, like, obviously this isn't the Super Bowl, but this is the kind when you're trying to build a culture, you're trying to turn it around. You got to get wins like this. So
Devonta made a good point. He said the AFC is kind of up for the taking, because Kansas City, they're struggling right now.
They're getting wins. They're winning ugly.
But they're not doing it like they would normally do it, in years past. And Buffalo looks like they're struggling a little bit offensively.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
It's there.
It is there.
It's there. Go take it. Go take it. Stack wins, please, because I don't know if I can handle a heartbreaking loss to the Colts after we just, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
don't let Gardner Minshew be the one to dismantle this defense.
So starting tomorrow, we put this game behind us. We enjoy it until 11:59 tonight, and because Wednesday is when practice starts back up for the Browns, and then we got to focus on the Colts. But be positive, be happy. Very big win. I think we showed the league, like, hey, this defense is for real. This team, if Watson can play, is going to be. They're going to be there at the end. They're going to have something to say about it. So we appreciate you guys being here. You guys make these lives so much fun. This was a huge one. I think we had a bunch of people in here watching. The chat was nonstop.
This is awesome.
We appreciate you guys being here, taking time, hanging out with us on a Tuesday night. Are we going to put out a preview episode later this week? I don't know. We're going to put out a preview episode later this week, so make sure you guys check that out when we preview the matchup with the Colts. If you want to hear an extra episode, join thedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. If you want to get your voicemails on the show, thedawgspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail. Leave us your thoughts. Once again, go Browns. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys later this week when we preview the Colts.